To Douglas Holtz-Eakin right now on this idea of hiking taxes on the very rich, or at least keeping that 39.6% on those earning $1 million or over. It's a moving target, but the fact that no one is owning that makes me wonder, where is it going, Douglas? What do you think?
I honestly don't know, Neil. I think there are really three things about this that are interesting. First, the president emphasized the middle class. Well, the most important thing for the middle class is something that's not going to be on the piece of paper. It's going to be about whether the reforms to the business community will cause them to invest in America, innovate here, keep their IP here, hire here, pay better wages. It's all about economic growth, and this tax reform will be successful or not based on how it does there. I think the second thing that jumps out is this pattern of negotiating over particular items, state and local tax deduction, 401k, fourth bracket. That's not really tax reform, because you don't really get that choice. You don't get to say, hey, I'd like the tax reform, except maybe a fourth bracket. You get either the tax reform or not, so you either get this economy or a better economy. And the sooner they get a complete bill out there, and the sooner that's the way this is framed, we're going to be better than we are now, the easier I think it'll be.
Obviously, when you're talking about keeping rates high for the rich, whether it's at $1 million, whatever, you're doing that, if you're a Republican, to entice Democratic votes. But will that do the trick?
I think there are going to be lots of reasons in the end for Democrats to support a good tax reform. I'm not convinced you're going to find a Democrat who's going to be the 51st vote in the Senate, for example, and get it over the finish line. I think once it looks like it's going to pass, they'll jump on board. History will show it as a big bipartisan effort, but this is really something that the Republicans are going to have to pass. This is something where at every juncture when they float the idea of not cutting the top bracket, they have to gauge that against the economic growth they might get if they do. They have to gauge that against the votes they have in the Senate, which ultimately are going to dictate whether they get tax reform done or not.
You know, as a former confidant of John McCain's, and of course, knowing that they're going to have this meeting tomorrow where the president will be up on Capitol Hill meeting with all Republicans, I do want to gauge your reaction to some comments the senators seem to be making about the president this past weekend. Let's listen.
That we drafted the lowest income level of America, and the highest income level found a doctor that would say that they had a bone spur. That is wrong. That is wrong. If we're going to ask every American to serve, every American should serve.
Do you think, Doug, he was taking a swipe at the president's draft deferrals?
I don't think so. I obviously don't know, but I think if you take that in the context of the speech he gave in Philadelphia recently, his remarks on the Senate floor, he's deeply concerned about America that he thinks may have lost sight of the greater ideals, the fact that we need to be willing to serve a country that stands for ideals, for freedom and prosperity, and the defense of democratic values across the globe. And
well, do you think he's targeting the president without naming him? Because he's done this a lot, and you know, where there's smoke, sometimes there's fire, and I'm wondering how that sets the stage if they meet tomorrow.
Well, I think when they meet tomorrow, the president's going to walk into a room of senators where not everyone's been thrilled with everything he's done. So it's not uniquely John McCain. But as John said in those remarks, and as the Senate will have to learn in tax reform, there will be moments where they have to rise above their petty and narrow differences to get something done on behalf of the country. And in tax reform and in defending this country, there are deep needs. We are underfunding our defense budget and putting our servicemen at risk. We have an economy that in 2016 produced zero increase in real income for those who worked full-time, full year. Those are unacceptable moments. And so everyone's going to have to sort of look past their individual differences and get something done on behalf of the greater good.
All right. Now, Senator McCain did vote for the Senate budget. And that had some people saying that maybe he would vote for the tax cut package. There's no guarantee of that. What does your gut tell you?
I think the proof will be in the pudding. We have not yet seen either a House bill nor something introduced by the Senate Finance Committee. I think when you look at that, there will be one and only one way to judge it, which is, will it change the trajectory of this economy so that productivity growth will stop being zero, so that real wage growth will stop being zero, and so that the middle class will have a chance to see the standard of living rise as they work instead of what they've experienced for the past 10 years.
All right, very good seeing you again. Douglas Holtz-Eakin, the former CBO Director.